When it comes to learning anything new, the biggest reason people fail isn't their ability, it's consistency. Most people quit before they finish, and that's why one of the most powerful and effective learning skills that you can build isn't going to be Excel, SQL, or Python. It's learning how to keep going when your motivation fades. When things feel boring, confusing, or slow, that's when most people stop. But if you can build the habits and the mindset to stay the course, that's when real transformation happens. I've been there, and one of the biggest things that helped me stay focused and actually finish was learning how the brain really works when it comes to learning and motivation. Not just because it helps you learn faster, but it helps you learn more effectively and sustainably so you can get to your goal. These techniques are going to be grounded in neuroscience and behavioral psychology, the same stuff that top performers use, but it's going to be simplified for our use case here. And one thing that I also want to make a note of is just use what works, ignore everything else. So I'm going to mention a bunch of stuff. If things don't work for you, that's fine. Feel free to not use it. An example of this is the Pomodoro technique, where you do 25 minutes of focused work followed by a 5-minute break. It's widely popular, but I hate it. And here's why. Because I'm the kind of person who can easily drop into deep focus of work for 2 to 3 hours at a time. So if I'm taking a break at the 25-minute mark, it yanks me out of that state right before real flow starts to happen. So it does extreme harm for me personally than it would for other people, because I can't get into that highly focused state of work. But it might work for you. So treat all of these like a tool in a toolbox. If something works, use it. If not, toss it, no worries. Now let's get into the ones that have made the biggest difference for me. One, tiny wins compound. So don't try to learn everything in one sitting. Focus on one lesson, one task, one small project piece at a time. This taps into behavioral momentum, with small successes create psychological progress that leads to more effort and more motivation. Even when I'm low energy or unfocused, this is exactly what happened yesterday. I will still just try to do the minimal task that I feel like I can get done that day. I'll knock out that small task because any progress is still progress, and that still builds real momentum and progress over time. Two, consistency over cramming. 30 minutes of focused work beats 5 hours of a binge session. Why? Because spaced repetition builds stronger long-term memory than mass cramming and learning. And most people never build the habit because they design their study plans for their ideal life, but not their actual one. So what I've done is I've personally learned how to study late at night when it's quiet and I have no interruptions, or to go to the library when I need fewer distractions. Your system doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be repeatable and work well enough for you and your circumstances. Three is your environment is your learning trigger. Your environment shapes your behavior. So when I can't focus at home, I started going to the library with my wife, and it completely changed my ability to stay locked in for longer. Even simple tweaks like using a laptop stand, a second or third monitor, or having a quiet space lowers the friction of learning and makes me able to learn and have longer study sessions. So setting up your environment so that learning becomes more automatic and not just a fight with your willpower will make it easier for you to have retained study sessions, but also understand the content at a deeper level. Four, study partners accelerate learning. Right now, and this is one of the things I've implemented throughout my whole life, and that's been wildly successful. I'm studying for the AWS AI practitioner certification, and then also AI and ML development with my friend who's in cybersecurity. So even though we're in different verticals, we still meet twice a week with 3 to 4 hour deep dives. We talk about concepts, discuss problems, and then also build out tools in real time. So this back and forth forces us to actually understand what we're doing. And it keeps us accountable because we don't want to let each other down. So there's a social accountability to it. So the science behind it, it's called the protege effect for teaching. And when you teach others, it boosts your own retention. So even having a virtual study buddy or weekly accountability check-in makes a huge difference. And five, your timeline is not a scoreboard. This is a big one. If you keep comparing yourself to strangers on LinkedIn or to close friends, you'll always feel behind. But here's the thing, comparison triggers cortisol, your body's primary stress hormone, and chronic comparison literally shrinks your brain, your hippocampus, the part of your brain that's responsible for memory and learning. That means the more that you compare, the harder it becomes to retain information. So, what do top learners do instead? They compare backwards and not sideways. Comparing backwards means you're measuring your progress against your past self and not against other people. So instead of looking sideways at what others did on social media like LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, they already built a dashboard. They finished that course in 2 weeks. They're getting interviews. You want to be asking yourself these things. What did I know last week versus what do I know now? What used to be hard, but now is easier? What problem can I solve today that I couldn't before? It's about tracking your own trajectory and using it as momentum. This shift is critical because the neuroscience shows that our internal benchmarks are more suitable motivators than external comparison, which leads to burnout or feeling imposter syndrome. You also get to build momentum and confidence by recognizing real progress, not just chasing how far behind you feel. This trigger is going to trigger a dopamine release, and over time, that builds momentum because your brain starts to crave that progress and that learning because it feels good to win, even in small ways. See, if your brain starts associating learning with small wins and rewards, it begins to want to come back. That's because dopamine, which is our brain's motivation chemical, spikes every time that you make progress or anticipate success. And that's the secret that most people miss. Learning isn't just about grinding through tutorials, it's about designing your process so that your brain wants to keep going. That's what's going to make your learning consistent, efficient, and actually enjoyable. It's all about learning the skills you need in a way that makes you more likely to finish so you can actually get hired as a data analyst by the end of this whole process. In the next video, we're going to dive into step C is create projects that prove you can do the job. You've planned smart, you've learned strategically, and now let's build the undeniable proof that helps you get hired. And then until then, query responsibly, and then watch this video here. Play this.